Chapter 1. After Anna and I divorced, everyone thought I wouldn't give up easily. We met when we were both at the bottom of the entertainment industry, and then, during our career's upward phase, we publicly announced our marriage. After marriage, I secretly orchestrated things, helping her step-by-step transition from a popular actress to a talented performer. Unexpectedly, just when her transformation was successful and she finally won an award, we publicly announced our divorce, abruptly ending our marriage. All her fans thought I wasn't good enough for her and commented, "Anna did the right thing. You should have left him long ago to shine on your own. A kept man is a hindrance to your progress." However, no one knew that I was the one who initiated the divorce. The male actor Makoto, who was co-starring in her new drama, ate the meals she cooked, drank the soup she made, and when they acted as an on-screen couple, I was still preparing anniversary gifts for her, booking her favorite Western restaurant. However, later on, when I went to pick her up from the airport, I ran into Makoto. He greeted me warmly and politely, then whispered, "You know our flights will share a blanket this time." He did it on purpose to make me get divorced as he wished. I went home and packed up all of Anna's things to send them away. I didn't want to keep any used or dirty items. Fortunately, we didn't have any children. Anna leaned against the door, watching me. Her eyes were arrogant, and she disdainfully asked, "What else do you want?" I replied, "Your phone." She paused for a moment, then handed it to me. During our passionate years together, her heart and eyes were always on me, constantly sharing every little detail of her life with me on WeChat. I was her only pinned chat, but now I had been replaced, and I was set to do not disturb for her messages. We had an amicable divorce. She was eager to marry Makoto, and to expedite our divorce, she voluntarily gave me most of the assets. She said she truly loved Makoto. After signing a non-disclosure agreement on the day she left, I thought we would never be in contact again. Until the first month after our divorce, she called me again. She said, "Can we meet one more time?" I arrived early, and while passing the lounge, I overheard Anna's manager talking to her. The manager said, "We can't let the fans know you cheated. The drama still needs to air. You're still a top actress after the divorce, while he's stuck at the bottom waiting to be laughed at. He must be dissatisfied. Just deceive him by saying you want to join a divorce reality show with him. Let him think there's still a chance to reconcile, and he'll do anything to please you. In the end, cut it during the show so the audience thinks he's the villain, and then you can play the victim to establish a devoted image." The manager nudged her and asked, "Are you listening?" Anna crossed her legs, distractedly swiping through her phone, and replied, The manager continued, "You see, as soon as you flirt, he'll come crawling like a dog, grateful and indebted." I curled my lips and headed straight to the conference room. Half an hour later, when Anna casually proposed this idea in the meeting room, I agreed on the spot. I earnestly said, "I'll join the reality show." She looked into my eyes and smiled lightly. "Is it that I can't live without you?" She was too confident and easy to deceive. I lowered my head, looking submissive, and said, "Yes, Anna. Is there still a chance for us?" Her eyes were cold as she turned her face away and softly said, "It depends on your performance." However, she said the script for this reality show isn't what you think. This divorce reality show would air during the time she and Makoto are filming their new drama to hype up her and Makoto's on-screen relationship. The show is themed around swapping lifestyles and exploring marital issues. Makoto and she would share a room. Meanwhile, I would share a room with Makoto's wife, that 19-year-old Willow who skyrocketed to fame with a single drama, won major awards, then quickly retired from acting to get married. Anna had taken the spotlight from her. Anna became famous for having a face that was 70% similar to Willow's. Rumor has it that after marrying Makoto, Willow and Makoto live apart. He loves her, but cannot have her. Chapter 2. Hot Spring Hotel. 2 rooms separated by a wall. A variety show live broadcast. Inside the venue, there was an observation room. Outside, the audience was sending live comments. The live comments were buzzing. Anna and Makoto are actually on a divorce reality show, sharing one room and getting so involved. The two have an incredible ship vibe, so compatible. I told you Anna and her husband had no feelings for each other. After all, no one likes someone who drags them down. I've been looking forward to their divorce for so long. The staff put heartbeat tracker watches on Anna and Makoto. She said, When the heartbeat value reaches 90, you can leave the room. The live comments reacted. Did they break the record? But unexpectedly, both their values stopped at 88. Privately, she and Makoto did everything together, too familiar, afraid of a slip. Up in the show, however, they pretended otherwise. The live comments discussed. Makoto is so polite. He doesn't dare get too close. Makoto, don't hold back. I'll bet our honor to you. Makoto sat at the doorway. Anna stood on the balcony to get some air, and through a corner, she could see my side of the room. Willow hadn't arrived yet. I was alone, sitting by the bed, wearing the heartbeat tracker watch. Someone knocked on the door. It was a tall, well-proportioned woman with curves in all the right places. She wore a light beige trench coat loosely cinched at the waist, revealing a white tight-fitting top and high-waisted shorts of the same color, subtly outlining her long, beautiful legs and slender waist. She slightly raised her hand to brush back the damp hair from her forehead, revealing her misty almond-shaped eyes. As a light rain fell outside, she exuded a crispness that matched the deep fog of the night. The live comments reacted. My goddess is back. How to judge Anna? No comparison. Willow stepped into the room, and her eyes met mine. There was a hint of shyness in her gaze, quickly replaced by a calm demeanor. Hi, she said softly, her voice like a gentle melody. I stood up, a bit nervous despite my plan. Hello, Willow, I replied. She walked further into the room, looking around. This is interesting, she remarked, a small smile playing on her lips. Just then, from the other side of the wall, we could hear Anna's laughter. It was a forced laugh, the kind she used to charm the audience. Willow's expression didn't change, but I could sense a faint tension in the air. Don't mind them, I said, trying to break the ice. Willow turned to me and nodded. I'm used to it, she said, her tone matter of fact. As the night deepened, the atmosphere in the room grew more intense. The live comments continued to pour in, speculating about our every move. Willow sat on the edge of the bed, flipping through a magazine. I watched her, trying to figure out what was going on in her mind. She was a mystery, and I was determined to solve it. Little did I know that behind her calm exterior, Willow was also struggling with her own emotions and secrets, and this reality show was about to bring everything to the surface. Chapter 5. The car was filled with an electric tension as Willow's leg continued to playfully nudge mine. I turned to look at her, and her eyes fluttered open, a mischievous glint in them. What's wrong, George? She asked, her voice low and seductive. I cleared my throat, trying to regain my composure. What are you doing, Willow? I asked, my tone more stern than I intended. She sat up straight, a smile playing on her lips. Just having a little fun. Can I? She replied. Before I could respond, her assistant returned. The moment was broken, but the lingering tension in the air was palpable. As the car drove on, I couldn't help but steal glances at Willow in the rear view mirror. She seemed lost in thought, her expression unreadable. When we finally arrived at my place, I thanked Willow and her assistant. As I watched the car drive away, I couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get a whole lot more complicated. Back in my apartment, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying the events of the day, especially the moment in the car with Willow. I had to admit, I was drawn to her, but I knew getting involved with her would be a dangerous game. The next day at work, I was still distracted. My former boss noticed and pulled me aside. What's going on, George? You seem out of it, he asked. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to be honest. It's Willow. I don't know what to make of her, I said. My boss raised an eyebrow. Well, she's a complex woman. But if you're smart, you'll keep your distance. She's got a lot of baggage, he warned. I nodded, but I knew it wouldn't be that easy. Later that day, I received a call from Willow's assistant. Mr. Wong, Willow would like to meet with you. Can you come to the studio at 5 p.m.? He asked. I agreed, my heart pounding in my chest. When I arrived at the studio, Willow was waiting for me in her office. The room was dimly lit, and she was sitting behind a large desk, looking every bit the powerful executive. George, please have a seat, she said, gesturing to a chair in front of her desk. I sat down, feeling nervous. I've been thinking about our situation, she began. I think we could help each other. I looked at her, confused. What do you mean? I asked. She leaned forward, her eyes fixed on mine. I need someone I can trust, someone who knows the industry. And you? Well, you have your own reasons for being interested in me. don't you? She said, a knowing smile on her face. I felt my face flush. I'm not sure what you're talking about, I stammered. She laughed softly. Don't play dumb, George. I saw the way you looked at me in the car. And I know you're not over Anna, but I think we could make something work. A mutually beneficial arrangement, if you will. I was taken aback by her bluntness. What kind of arrangement? I asked. She stood up and walked around the desk, coming to stand in front of me. I want you to be my partner, in business and maybe more, she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. Before I could respond, she leaned down and kissed me. It was a passionate, intense kiss, and for a moment, I forgot about everything else. But then I came to my senses and pulled away. Willow, this is a bad idea, I said. She looked at me, her eyes filled with disappointment. Why? Because of Anna? She's moved on, George. It's time you did too, she said. I shook my head. It's not just about Anna. It's about us. This is too complicated, I replied. She sighed. Fine. But think about it, George. The offer stands. As I left the studio, I was in a daze. I didn't know what to do. On one hand, I was attracted to Willow, and the idea of a partnership with her was tempting. But on the other hand, I knew it could end up causing more problems than it was worth. And then there was Anna. Even though we were divorced, I couldn't help but wonder what she would think if she found out about my growing connection with Willow. Chapter 6. Back at the reality show set, the next episode's filming was in full swing. The theme this time was intimate conversations, where the pairs were supposed to share deep, personal stories with each other in front of the cameras. Anna and Makoto were up first. They sat close together on a plush sofa, their body language suggesting a level of intimacy that made the live comments go wild. Anna started talking about her struggles in the early days of her career, her voice soft and emotional. Makoto listened intently, occasionally reaching out to touch her hand in a show of support. As I watched from the sidelines, I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy, not because of Anna, but because I knew it was all an act, and yet the audience was eating it up. Then it was my turn with Willow. We sat down, and the cameras started rolling. I looked at her, not sure where to start. She seemed to sense my discomfort and gave me a reassuring smile. Let's start with something simple. What's the one thing you regret the most in your life? She asked. I thought for a moment. I regret not being more assertive in my relationship with Anna. I let her walk all over me, and in the end, it cost me my happiness, I said. Willow nodded, her expression serious. I understand. I've had my fair share of regrets too. Marrying Makoto was one of them, she said. The revelation took me by surprise. Why do you say that? I asked. She sighed. It was a marriage of convenience, a contract to benefit our families. There was never any love between us. And now that it's over, I'm still trying to figure out who I am without that label, she replied. As we continued to talk, I felt a connection forming between us. We opened up about our fears, our dreams, and our insecurities. For the first time in a long time, I felt like someone truly understood me. And from the look in Willow's eyes, I could tell she felt the same way. But our moment was short-lived. Just as we were starting to get comfortable with each other, Anna interrupted. She walked over, a fake smile on her face. Sorry to interrupt, but we need to borrow Willow for a quick interview, she said. Willow looked at me, a hint of annoyance in her eyes, but she got up and followed Anna. I watched as they walked away, feeling frustrated. I knew Anna was just trying to sabotage whatever was developing between Willow and me, and I couldn't help but wonder how far she was willing to go to keep us apart. Meanwhile, the live comments were speculating about the tension between us, adding fuel to the fire. The situation was becoming more and more complicated, and I had a feeling that things were about to explode. Chapter 7. Foot aside, neither speaking nor turning around, maintaining the same posture as before, as if nothing had happened. She whispered softly, George. She spoke up, perhaps just waking up with a bit of a lazy, soft tone like an unintentional murmur. She said, long time no see. After all these years, why does she still like to call my name that way? Just like in that small, stuffy rental apartment, I repeatedly drowned in the enchanting, uncontrollable embrace of her mesmerizing tenderness. After that day, Willow and I didn't keep in touch until another weekend arrived. The variety show adopted a rotation system. This weekend, the original couple pairing would return. Makoto said, director, his tone was very sincere, looking out for the show's best interests. He continued, The audience's preference for Anna and me is too high. If we switch back now, you'll get criticized by the viewers." The director pondered for a few seconds and said, "But..." Makoto turned around and asked Anna, "What do you think?" In front of me, he asked, "Anna, who are you choosing tonight?" He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. A fleeting look of pride and arrogance flashed across his face. Anna understood his meaning. She deliberately glanced at my face, snorted lightly, and said, "Do I need to choose?" The audience doesn't want to see him. Makoto got the answer he wanted, and then looked at me with a smile, saying, "George, would you mind if I borrow Anna for a few more days? We're doing this for the audience. If you've never been an actor, you wouldn't understand. But for actors, the audience's approval is the most important thing. You need to think about the bigger picture." I interrupted firmly, "All right." My tone was decisive. Anna looked up at me upon hearing this. They both thought I was going to lose my temper. This way, my reaction could be edited into additional scenes highlighting Makoto's kindness and Anna's grievance. But they didn't expect me to be so agreeable. Makoto, who had painstakingly memorized his lines earlier, found himself with nowhere to say them. After a long pause, he dryly said, "That's good. Don't back out." I said, "Let's keep it this way from now on." He looked slightly stiff. Then he smiled again and whispered, "Do you want Anna to get jealous? Who doesn't know you joined the show to win her back? What should we do? Not only is she not jealous, but you can only watch her enter my room helplessly." At that moment, the director's team made an announcement. They decided to continue last week's set. Up. Before leaving, Anna teased Makoto, asking, "Aren't you afraid of him and Willow sharing a room?" Mentioning Willow's name made Makoto react strongly. He seemed to hear some enormous joke. He disdainfully said, "Have you never seen who she likes? Someone like him, a loser. Even after being locked up together for a year, she can't stand him." The two exchanged glances and shared a knowing smile in front of me. Anna took Makoto's coat and put it on herself. She said, "George, if you want to win me back, these tactics aren't enough." She wanted to provoke me, make me get angry in public so that she could naturally become the victim. Anna and Makoto were taken to a luxurious villa. This was the reward for last week's highest heartbeat value pairing. Makoto posted a Weibo update about a candle at dinner. The live comments buzzed on. Stop. I saw all these while scrolling my phone in the show's van. The car was heading towards the old town. The live comments read, "If their heartbeat values don't go up tonight, they're going to be eliminated, right? Willow won't be eliminated because of her star power, but they should switch partners. Boring. Why did Willow take on this kind of show? The weirder it is, the more I like watching it. I have a feeling something's going to happen. Is that comment from upstairs crazy? If there was any real excitement, I'd be doing a handstand and taking a dump." I put my phone away and asked the staff, "Where are Willow and I staying tonight?" He replied, "You both have the lowest heartbeat values and need to accept punishment. So tonight, you can only stay at." The car stopped. He lifted his chin, indicating the old residential building ahead. He said, "Here, the rental apartment." I was speechless. I got out of the car. Only a live broadcast camera inside the car was following me, capturing just my back from a distance. No sound was heard. I stood at the doorway, my mind blank for a few seconds. I took out my phone and called my former boss, who was also my bro. I desperately needed him to give me a reality check. I said, "Willow and I agreed to see each other after a long time." He replied, "Dude, that's one of life's 3 major illusions. Don't overthink it. What else could she be saying besides that?" As I expected from my brother, he continued to put it bluntly, "Who doesn't have an ex? She has so many choices. Why would she choose a divorced guy like you just because of those few months you depended on each other?" Honestly, that was the lowest point in her life, the worst days she could remember. Who would miss that? He was right. I hung up the phone. I twisted the door open. The room was pitch black. Willow was standing on a chair, desperately trying to reach the ceiling light. When she raised her hand, her wrist was wrapped in bandages. Seeing me enter, she naturally came down and handed the light bulb to me. I climbed onto the chair, and the light in my hand flickered on and off, just like that old-fashioned tungsten bulb from back then. So familiar. She calmly said, "Let's eat." A simple sentence without any extra emotion made my uneasiness stand out. I was overthinking it. To her, this show was probably just a public relations move to safely end her marriage. Outside, it was snowing. She was tall with delicate features. One hand on the countertop, preparing the hot pot. She exuded a married woman's aura. I took a picture of her back and posted it on Weibo, counted as completing the show's task. After eating, she washed the dishes by herself and inexplicably started laying out the bed sheets. Just one bed. I felt a bit embarrassed and reminded her, I can sleep on the floor. She subtly puckered her lips, but didn't say a word. In the awkward atmosphere, I tried to make conversation. Do you need a new bandage for your injury? She coldly replied, I can handle it myself. After taking a shower, I came out of the bathroom to find the blanket already spread on the floor. She was taking a long strip of bandage out of her suitcase. Instinctively, I looked away and took out my phone. Anna sent me a voice message. My hands were wet, and I accidentally pressed play. Anna's sweet voice came out. George, are you jealous? Watching me with Mikoto must be so painful. But you'll never get me back. The message echoed in the quiet room. I panicked, trying to turn it off, but my wet fingers fumbled. Willow looked up at me, a hint of curiosity and something else I couldn't quite read in her eyes. I finally managed to stop the message, my face burning with embarrassment. It's nothing, I stammered. Willow just raised an eyebrow and continued with what she was doing. The tension in the room seemed to thicken, and I knew that this night in the small rental apartment was going to be a long one. As the night deepened, the sound of the snow hitting the window was the only noise that broke the silence. I lay on the makeshift bed on the floor, my mind racing. I couldn't help but think about the past with Anna and the confusing present with Willow. Just when I thought I was starting to drift off, I heard Willow shift in bed. I held my breath, not sure what to expect. George, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I didn't respond at first, not sure if I had really heard her. George, she said again, a bit louder this time. I turned my head slightly, looking in her direction. What is it? I asked, my voice also a whisper. There was a long pause, and I thought she might have changed her mind. But then she said, why did you really join this show? Her question caught me off guard. I hesitated, not sure if I should tell her the truth. In the darkness, the truth seemed to weigh heavier than ever. Willow's words hung in the air, creating an unease that spread through the room. Anna's smile faltered slightly, and Mikoto shifted in his seat, looking uncomfortable. I felt a pang in my chest, watching Willow as she stared out the window, her eyes distant. The host pressed on, can you tell us more? What happened between you two? Willow took a deep breath, and for a moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. But then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. We were young, and I made a mistake. A mistake that cost us everything. She paused, her fingers tightening around the edge of her chair. I thought I was doing the right thing at the time, but I was wrong. And now, he can't even look at me without hating me. The room was silent, everyone captivated by her words. Anna's expression turned from curiosity to something like satisfaction. Sounds like a complicated story, she said, her tone laced with mock sympathy. But sometimes, people just need to move on, don't they? I could see Willow's jaw clench at Anna's words. Before she could respond, the host quickly changed the subject, moving on to the next question. But the tension in the air remained, thick and suffocating. After the post-show gathering ended, I lingered outside, waiting for a chance to talk to Willow. She emerged from the building, her head down, lost in thought. Willow, I called out, and she looked up, a mixture of surprise and something else in her eyes. What do you want, George? She asked, her voice tired. I hesitated, not sure where to start. I just wanted to see if you're okay. What you said in there. I trailed off, not knowing how to finish. She gave a bitter laugh. Do I look okay? I just spilled my guts in front of a bunch of people and cameras. And for what? To satisfy their need for drama? She shook her head. I shouldn't have said anything. I took a step closer. But you did. And maybe it's time to talk about it. Not just for the show, but for yourself. She looked at me sharply, and I thought she was going to walk away. But instead, she sighed. Not here, she said. Meet me at the old coffee shop we used to go to, in an hour. Without waiting for a response, she turned and walked away, leaving me standing there, wondering what secrets she was about to reveal. An hour later, I sat at a corner table in the coffee shop, the smell of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. Willow arrived a few minutes later, looking more composed. She sat down across from me and ordered a black coffee. Where do I start? She said, staring into her cup. Remember when we were in that small rental apartment in the south? The one with the flickering tungsten bulb? I nodded, and she continued. That was the happiest time of my life. But then, my family found out about us. They didn't approve. They said I was throwing my future away on a nobody. I flinched at her words, but she didn't seem to notice. They pressured me to break up with you, to focus on my career. And I was young and scared, so I did it. I broke your heart, and I broke mine in the process. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, George. I was stunned. All these years, I had wondered what went wrong, why she had left me so abruptly. And now, I finally had an answer. Why didn't you tell me then? Why let me think it was something I did? She wiped away a tear. I was ashamed, and I thought it was for the best. I thought you would be better off without me. But I was wrong. So wrong. She reached across the table and took my hand. I've regretted it every day since then. Just as I was about to respond, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Anna. George, I need to see you. It's important. I groaned inwardly. I didn't want to deal with her right now, not when I was finally getting some answers from Willow. Who is it? Willow asked, seeing the look on my face. Anna, I said, sighing. She says it's important. Willow's expression hardened. Don't go. She's just trying to mess with you, with us. I hesitated. I knew Willow was probably right, but I couldn't help but wonder what Anna wanted. I should at least find out what it is, I said. Willow let go of my hand and leaned back in her chair. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. I stood up, feeling conflicted. I'll call you later, okay? Willow just nodded, looking away. As I left the coffee shop, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was making a mistake. But I also couldn't ignore Anna's message. I had a feeling that whatever she wanted, it was going to complicate things even more. When I arrived at the location Anna had sent me, it was a secluded park. She was sitting on a bench, looking at her phone. What's so important that it couldn't wait? I asked, annoyed. She looked up at me, a smug smile on her face. I just wanted to see you, George, and to remind you of what we had. I rolled my eyes. Anna, we're divorced. It's over. I'm trying to move on. She stood up and walked closer to me. But you don't have to move on with her, George. She's not good for you. She left you once, and she'll do it again. I stepped back, angry. You don't know anything about Willow and me, and you have no right to interfere in my life. Anna's expression turned cold. Fine, but don't come crying to me when she breaks your heart again. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving me alone in the park, more confused and conflicted than ever. Chapter 7 continued. She turned her head, elongating her tone. Her words seemed disjointed and incoherent, like a jumbled mess of thoughts. For example, marrying someone else, but saying his true love is someone like me. No one understood, but Anna couldn't help but slightly furrow her brows. The host flipped the last card. She asked, George, what would you like to say to your first love now? 100 safe responses floated to my mind, but I blurted out, I hope she doesn't hate me too much. It seemed a very reasonable answer, and everyone present could understand. They all thought I wanted to rekindle things with Anna. Anna was even more proud, raising her eyebrow to tease me, not intending to give me any leeway. Until the same question was directed at Willow. She answered, I just lied to him earlier. I don't hate him. Anna began to realize something was off. Sunday night, in today's live broadcast, both groups had to return to the original Hot Spring Hotel to create more topics. The production team had all four of us squeezed into the same car. The live comments were still mainly discussing Anna and Makoto, but the direction was subtly shifting. The live comments read, think about it carefully. If you weren't as blind as Anna, you would choose to join us. Jumping right in front of the main couple. Anna is still happily counting her money. Someone countered, it's just a coincidence. Willow and George never interacted before. The discussions between Willow and me had increased significantly. Some enthusiastic fans even created a shipping hashtag for Willow and me. So, before getting into the car, the host secretly handed me a mission slip. She said, open it once you're in the car. Only you can see it. Makoto was driving the car, which was equipped with cameras inside. Anna naturally sat in the passenger seat. Makoto looked helpless, purposely turning his head to gauge my reaction. He said, hey, your wife gets carsick easily. She'll sit in the passenger seat. You don't mind, do you? Anna also turned her head, trying to see how I would react, hoping I'd get upset, and then she could step forward to play the innocent, aggrieved girl to apologize. But instead, I ignored her completely and sat in the back seat with Willow. When the traffic light turned red, both Makoto and Anna glanced through the rear view mirror towards the back seat. Anna looked at me. Makoto was looking at Willow. Meanwhile, Willow and I sat at opposite ends of the seat, maintaining the greatest distance possible. As the traffic light turned green, Makoto said, "George." He took Anna's hand and showed me the new ring on her finger. It was the one Makoto had given her last night in front of the cameras. He said, "Don't get the wrong idea. This ring represents the ship between our characters in the show. I showed it to you to prevent you from overthinking. But you probably can't understand the love Anna and I have for our roles, right? After all, among the four of us, you're the only one who's not an actor and has no career ambitions." He spoke incessantly, trying to see a hint of jealousy or resentment on my face. He was speaking both to me and to Willow. Unfortunately, Willow was asleep as soon as she got into the car. I kept my head down, staring at the small mission slip, my mind blank. It read, "Hold Willow's hand without being noticed by the other group." Earlier that morning, on the highway, it was wide with few cars on both sides. Tropical plants stretched out like a sea of green. The bright and gentle winter sunlight bathed half of the car. Everywhere was under the sunlight. The navigation system alerted, "Ahead, enter the tunnel." I glanced sideways. Willow had her eyes closed, her fair and delicate hands dangling in the air. Hold her hand. She probably wouldn't notice. Darkness enveloped us, with only the tunnel lights flickering by. I mustered up the courage. I reached out to touch her hand. She was supposed to be asleep, so she took a shallow breath and moved her hand away. Did she notice? I sighed, wanting to retract my hand but fearing it was too obvious, so I placed it in the middle of the leather seat. Makoto continued taunting, "George, don't you think the one who's being cheated on in the marriage also has some faults? If he can't keep his wife, don't blame others for stealing her away." The tunnel was so short that my hand hadn't even time to withdraw. The car was already back in the sunlight. I turned my face, ready to pull my hand back, but in that instant, I was gently pulled back. Soft and delicate. In the next second, our fingers intertwined. Old-fashioned love songs played on the car radio. They sang in an upbeat tone about a man who discovers his wife is cheating, getting up early, leaving his lazy wife at home, and flying away, waiting for his wife to wake up and realize he's already gone. The song kept repeating one line. "She should realize it soon, right? She should realize it soon, right? She should realize it soon, right?" 5 seconds before the song ended, Anna, sitting in the passenger seat, annoyed by my lack of response to Makoto, said through the rear view mirror, "So, some people deserve to be betrayed." She was too focused on my facial expressions to notice the tightly clasped hands in the back seat leather. I forgot. Willow is a possessive Yandere girl. We can't hold hands in the dark, but we need to hold hands only under the sunlight. Chapter 8. The third season's weekend live broadcast was an outdoor shoot. The Hot Spring Hotel was located in another neighboring city with a long winter coastline. The host sat on the bus, going through the process flow. "Today, I just found out that Willow and George grew up in the same place." The theme for this episode was returning to the city where Willow studied previously. No one thought we would have any connection. Anna, in the front row, furrowed her brows slightly, her gaze fixed on me sitting at the other end. Willow shook her head and said, "No, I was just studying here temporarily." Willow had a difficult childhood, which was well known in the industry. An abusive stepfather and a gambling mother. These were points of attack by detractors before. Anna looked down on Willow's background, her tone icy and ambiguous. She said, "I didn't know your life was like this. Seriously, what do you have to show off about?" Anna's tone was very dissatisfied because she had disliked Willow for a long time. She always believed that Willow's ability to win awards was because she met Makoto's father when she was 19, an entertainment mogul within the industry. He almost changed Willow's life trajectory. Now, with Willow and Makoto divorced and no longer contracted with the company, she was a completely resource-less person, and those resources would now belong to Anna. No one in the car dared to respond. I spoke calmly. Her difficult past has made her who she is today. And it's precisely these experiences that have given her the strength and talent that many people lack. My words made Anna's expression turn even uglier. She sneered. "Oh, so now you're her defender? How touching. But don't forget, you're still in the middle of a reality show, and all of this is just for the cameras." Willow remained silent throughout the exchange, looking out the window at the passing scenery. But I could sense a tension in her body, as if she was holding back a storm of emotions. As the bus continued towards the destination, I couldn't help but wonder what kind of memories and secrets this city held for Willow, and how they would further complicate the already tangled web of relationships between us all. When we finally arrived at the coastal city, the cold wind off the sea blew sharply. The production team started setting up the cameras along the beach for the first part of the shoot. Anna and Makoto immediately started hamming it up for the cameras, walking hand in hand along the shore, laughing and joking. Meanwhile, Willow and I were assigned a task to collect seashells with specific shapes for a game later. As we walked along the beach, the sand crunching under our feet, I tried to break the silence. "Do you have any good memories of this place?" I asked. Willow stopped and picked up a small, pink-tinted seashell. "A few," she said softly, "but most of them are overshadowed by the bad." She turned to look at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and determination. "George, I know things are complicated right now, but I want you to know that." Before she could finish her sentence, a loud shout came from behind us. "Hey, lovebirds! Hurry up! We don't have all day." Anna's voice carried on the wind. Willow's expression darkened, and she quickly turned away, continuing to search for seashells. I could tell that Anna's constant taunts were getting to her, and I couldn't help but feel a pang of anger towards Anna. Little did I know that this day at the beach was about to bring to light some long, buried secrets that would change everything. Her stronger than some spoiled heiresses. Even with such a huge disparity in starting points, some people will always find it hard to keep up. After getting off the car, we walked along the city streets, exploring shops. The group arrived at Willow's former 13 high school, built along a hillside. The school overlooked a vast sea right outside the gate. Anna walked beside me and asked, "Are you also from 13 high school?" I had mentioned it before, but she never remembered. I replied yes. She let out a light laugh, but her eyes were cold as she asked, "Don't you know Willow?" I replied no. With 25 classes in a grade, we weren't in the same cohort. Willow walked behind us. Upon hearing this, she looked up, her dark eyes staring straight at me. Willow said, "He's a year senior." The term senior annoyed Anna inexplicably. She quickened her pace, muttering about going to the next place. At the bus stop, the host, on behalf of the live audience, asked Willow, "Was your first love also a classmate at 13 High?" She replied, "Yes." Willow had somehow stood beside me, turning her head to listen to the host without looking at me. She said, "He's a bit fierce." Chapter 9. She kept saying that about me. In a grade with over 1,000 students, logically, Willow and I might never have met after graduation. But if she hadn't always been late, and I happened to be the diligent class officer who tracked latecomers, our paths would still rarely cross. She acted coquettishly. "Can you not remember my name?" 16. Year. Old Willow, slender and pure, looked up at me with an expression full of grievance. I replied sternly, "No." She said she was late because she went to watch an important free underground film festival earlier. Those useless arts things parents often talk about. No money made, no food earned. She pressed her lips and said, Her tone was so obedient that I thought she was about to register for class. However, in the next second, she turned around with her backpack and ran, running while looking back. Her clean, watery eyes carried a hint of mischief. She said, "Senior, since we're both late, why don't I go watch a bit longer?" I disliked anyone who didn't follow the rules. David said, "George, look. High schooler Willow has been confessed to again." At that time, my former restroom buddy, now my boss and brother, was lying on the corridor, watching the influential figure under the school corner tree. I replied coldly, "I don't like disobedient people." To my surprise, Willow actually heard me. How did she have such good hearing? Her bright eyes glanced my way. We were supposed to have no connection until that day. Someone followed me home. I told my mother, but she was busy divorcing my father. After listening, she turned her head and only said to me, "If I divorce your father." Her face showed extreme cold sorrow. "I only want your sister." My sister was likable. She had an early romance with a social youth, didn't want to date anymore, and found someone even more handsome. But she didn't want to be the bad person. Turning her head innocently to the person, she said, "My brother doesn't approve of us being together." That social youth was the person who stalled me. He found my number and messaged me. He said, "I know which class you're in. Wait for me. Even if you stay in detention for a few days, I'll make your pathetic mother shed some blood." On my way home, dark figures kept following me. They could do anything in the alley behind 13 High School. Night snow. The sound of footsteps grew denser and closer. I clenched the compass in my hand, stood still, and tried to calm my nerves. At that tense moment, a female voice rang out. "I've already called the police. I said you guys were harassing and stalking me and taking photos secretly. They only intended to give me a lesson but didn't expect to get arrested." Under the strong deterrence, they were scared off. On my way home, she followed me from behind. She cautiously said, "Senior, actually I'm very, very scared. I was terrified just now, pretending to be brave." She acted more like it than anyone else. I felt guilty and said, "I'm sorry I dragged you into this." She walked up to me and stopped. Shadows blocked the glow of the streetlights. She shook her head and said no. Her voice was clean and melodious. She said, I'm the kind of person who is very obedient and well behaved." I believed her. Those pure eyes looked at me without any impurities. If it weren't for the next day when I saw her taking a group of delinquents to teach those social youths a lesson, and then she was late again, recklessly registering the name Yuwa on my notebook. In my second year of college, I was studying in the provincial capital. My sister called me. She said, "Mom still doesn't want to see you. Who told you to look like Dad?" I asked her, "What are you trying to say?" She let out a sly laugh. She said, "Do you have the phone number of that pretty girl Willow from your high school? My boyfriend really likes her. Can you help me contact her?" Because of blood ties, I was always reluctant to completely cut things off. But that day, I blocked her contact information. For decades, until I got married and divorced, I never contacted her again. At that time, Willow had just finished her college entrance exams. We hadn't been in touch for 3 years, completely strangers. Chapter 10. The third season received a good response, so the production team decided that the 4th episode would visit my city. However, this would repeat what was done in the previous episode. The host asked, "Where did you attend university?" The production team decided to go there and take a look. I replied, "South City." As soon as I finished speaking, the staff were surprised and asked, "Isn't that also the city where Willow went to university?" Anna raised her eyes, staring directly at me. That strange and palpable unease on her face became increasingly obvious. Before the 4th live broadcast, I bumped into Anna and Makoto's new drama finale. According to her agent's original plan, by this promotional stage, the barrage of insults about me on Weibo should have been overwhelming. But reality was the opposite. Due to my indifference in the show's explosive setup, our eerie ship with Willow was subtly trending upwards. The live comments read, "Although George and Willow aren't familiar in public, it feels like things aren't that simple behind the scenes." I also want to say the atmosphere in the car during the 2nd episode was a bit strange. I'm sick of it. I have a condition where if Anna isn't unhappy, I'm too happy. Anna's agent turned around and bought time for Anna's years. Long search trends, various terms. Meanwhile, as we prepared to head to South City for the next shoot, the tension between us all was at an all-time high. Willow seemed more withdrawn than ever, lost in her own thoughts. I couldn't help but wonder what she was thinking and how our shared past would play out in front of the cameras. Anna, on the other hand, was growing increasingly desperate to regain the spotlight and destroy any chance of my connection with Willow becoming more public. Makoto, caught in the middle, seemed to be playing his own game, observing everything with a calculating look in his eyes. When we arrived in South City, the first location we visited was the university campus. As we walked around, memories of my college days flooded back. But it was Willow's reaction that caught my attention. She walked slowly, her eyes taking in every detail of the familiar surroundings. I could see a mixture of sadness and nostalgia on her face. Anna, noticing our silent interaction, quickly stepped in between us. "Let's take some group photos," she said, forcing a bright smile. The production team started setting up the cameras, and we all gathered together. But as the photos were being taken, I could feel Willow's gaze on me, and I knew that this trip to South City was going to uncover more than just old memories. It was going to bring to light long, hidden feelings and secrets that would change everything between us. With my name cycled through several rounds, a small account on the square posted a Weibo saying, "Actually, the two have already divorced." It received over 1,000 likes within an hour. That small account liked every comment supporting Anna and Makoto in the comments section. Half an hour later, it posted a photo of me. In the photo, I looked disheveled and pale. The caption read, "No wonder my wife ran away, looking so messy." This photo was taken by Anna when she was suffering from dementia at home. At that time, I endured a severe cold to cook porridge for her. She pouted, insisting that when she was uncomfortable, she only drank what I cooked. She coquettishly said, "Take a picture." I didn't like taking photos, but she insisted on documenting her husband's kindness to post on her moments, so she dragged me to take it. Later, when collecting divorce evidence and going through her phone, I discovered that day that photo. She immediately posted it to Makoto and said, "He's so greasy. I can't stand it." Underneath that photo, the comments weren't as the small account had anticipated. Some rational netizens began to scold, "Is doxing fun? This photo is too private. Seriously suspect your identity. Who doesn't look like this at home?" The small account kept deleting comments and, seeing the situation worsen, had to delete the photo. The night before the live broadcast started, Anna called me to ask, "Did you create a small account to curse Makoto?" She sent me a screenshot. I recognized that ID. It was her fan who was undermining Makoto and Anna. Anna's career was booming, and it was a critical period for her reputation. From the outside, it seemed she hadn't divorced yet, and took this explosive variety show to stir up a ship with Makoto, which was simply ridiculous. They thought she was possessed by me. Although it attracted many ship fans, the more combative supporters quickly dropped off. But who would have thought she was also forced into it? Taking this show was just to whitewash her infidelity and dump the dirty water onto me. I calmly said, "Those were fans who supported you before. Did you forget?" She questioned, "Wasn't it you?" I replied, "Of course not." Her remarks made me laugh. I was about to hang up the call, but she said, "Anyway, Makoto is so unhappy because of you. Even though I know it might not be your fault, can you apologize?" I laughed. "Anna, are you mad that Makoto is unhappy or mad that your supportive fans are leaving?" She was hit by my words, and her tone became much calmer. She sarcastically said, "Do you really believe those netizens' ghost stories about you and Willow?" She snorted coldly and continued, "Why don't you go like Willow? Stop liking me. You're too exhausted." In the past, I would have shown weakness at this point, but now I blurted out, "All right." She coldly said, "I knew you wouldn't agree. Why are you so spineless?" She spoke smoothly only to realize halfway through, surprised. She asked, "What did you just say?" I was too lazy to repeat myself and hung up the call directly. During the weekend live broadcast, Anna's agent was waiting for me to lose my temper, but unexpectedly, it was Anna who had the problem. Makoto helped Anna blow her hair. After finishing, Anna coquettishly leaned towards him. Nothing unusual, but there was a small issue. When she coquettishly called out, she said, "George, love you." As soon as she said it, she didn't realize something was wrong. Only when she saw Makoto's stiff expression did she realize what she had said. That night, Willow didn't attend the live broadcast. Last year, Willow made a comeback and her film was nominated for top international awards. Tonight, her flight was leaving for abroad. I wandered alone in the city that had been familiar to me years ago. When I returned to the hotel, I saw Anna waiting for me at the door. Wasn't she supposed to accompany Makoto for dinner? The production team said Anna had voluntarily requested to switch back to the original couple pairing. The host said to me, "The show was originally set up this way, just for tonight." In the hotel suite, I checked the positions of all the cameras around. Anna entered the room with a cold and detached expression. On the brown glass table, there was a spread of dishes. She said, "Let's eat. I made this myself." After being married for so many years, she had never done this before. Seeing me not picking up my chopsticks, she asked, "What's wrong, George? Aren't you enjoying your meal over there?" I confessed, "Looking at your face, I can't eat." Her pupils constricted. She frowned and pressed her lips together, trying hard to suppress her frustration, finally turning into a gentle smile. She said, "George, I only accompanied Makoto for 2 weeks because of work. Why are you still so stern? It's all for work needs. If you care, then let me apologize to you." Anna was so gentle and serene in front of the camera. She also habitually thought that as long as she showed a little goodwill, I would meekly follow along. But I wasn't like that. When I moved things to another room, her face turned red. She sat alone at the dining table, watching the dishes slowly cool. I didn't leave the room again. She let out a dissatisfied snort and immediately called for room service, dumping the entire table of food. That night, I didn't sleep well. Especially in my dreams, I was kissed. Left on my cheek, light but real, carrying the coldness of a hurried winter night. The room key was accessible to every staff member, so I couldn't determine what happened yesterday. The next day, after the live broadcast, during breakfast, Anna was in a good mood after last night's performance. The audience's perception of her had improved significantly. The live comments read, "I feel so sorry for Anna. Why does George have to do this? This show is just a couple. Swapping romance reality show. Even though it's unique, why did he still join? Makoto, come save Anna." The comments above are messed up. Anna called Makoto by the wrong name. It's disgusting for fans, and she's still trying to maintain her love. Lorne Persona. How hard is it to talk about liking or not liking someone after a divorce? Rumor has it they're already divorced. Anna's agent told her that the initial hype was sufficient and that they would likely announce her and my divorce in the next episode. Taking me out for a stroll, she would perform once more as the heartbroken woman betrayed by her husband. In the final episode, Makoto would heal her, spreading some sweetness, and the two of them would then be perfectly whitewashed. Anna's agent warned her, "This episode is crucial. No matter what happens, don't throw a tantrum." She sipped her coffee, her eyes fixed on me, confident of victory and indifferent. She replied, "Whatever happens." After hanging up the call, she knew I. Chapter 11. As Anna prepared for her final act of manipulation, I was determined not to let her succeed. I started to dig deeper into the behind the scenes of the show, trying to find any evidence that could expose her true motives. Meanwhile, Willow, who had been absent from the live broadcast, sent me a text message from abroad. "George, I saw what happened. Don't let Anna get away with it. I'll be back soon." Her words gave me a glimmer of hope. On the day of the next episode's filming, the atmosphere on set was tense. Anna put on her best act, playing the role of the heartbroken wife to perfection. But I refused to play along. When the host asked us about our relationship, I looked straight at the camera and said, "Anna and I are already divorced." This show was just a ploy for her to whitewash her infidelity and gain more popularity. Anna's expression froze for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. "George, you're just saying these things out of anger," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Our marriage was real, and I still love you." The live comments immediately exploded. "Is he serious? They're already divorced? Anna is lying. How could she do this to us?" I knew there was something fishy about this show. Makoto, who had been standing beside Anna, looked uncomfortable. He knew that this revelation could ruin their carefully planned image. Just as the situation was heating up, the door of the studio suddenly opened, and Willow walked in. She had cut her hair short, and her eyes were filled with determination. "I'm here," she said, her voice clear and steady. "And I have something to say." Anna's face turned pale. She knew that Willow's appearance could disrupt all her plans. Willow walked up to the microphone and looked at the audience. "Anna and Makoto's relationship is a lie. They're just using this show to gain more fans. And George is the one I love." Her confession shocked everyone on set and sent the live comments into a frenzy. Anna's agent, who had been watching from the sidelines, rushed over. "This is a disaster," he shouted. "We need to stop the broadcast now." But it was too late. The news of the lies and deception on the show had already spread like wildfire on social media. As the chaos ensued, I looked at Willow, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had found my true self. But I knew that this was just the beginning. With the public's attention now focused on us, we would have to face the consequences of our revelations and deal with the backlash from Anna and Makoto. She heard everything clearly, but she was sure that even if I knew, I couldn't stir up any trouble. After all, I had signed a confidentiality agreement and received a huge compensation. She asked, "Does it make you sad?" With a disdainful look in her eyes. She said, "No matter what, you can't surpass Makoto, nor can you win me back." Her lips parted and closed while she kept talking. I looked at her, not really listening with my ears. Only when she paused to take a sip of her coffee did I ask, "Last night, was it you who kissed me?" The room door was open, and staff members were coming and going with various equipment. She instinctively replied, "Why would I kiss you?" She frowned, realizing something was wrong. The room suddenly fell silent, and the outside staff's idle chatter became exceptionally clear. They discussed, "Why do you have milk tea?" Another replied, "At 5 a.m., Willow delivered breakfast and desserts to all the staff." "Didn't you get any?" He said, "I went to take a dump and missed out on $1 billion. Another comforted, "Here, have mine. Don't be upset." That person asked, "Why did she come back?" Wasn't she supposed to go to the film festival? Another replied. She said she had something important to do before leaving, so she flew from Beijing and then abroad again. She must be exhausted. That person added, yeah, heard she's also running a fever. Who kissed me? I could guess, and Anna could too, but she didn't believe it. She closed the door and chose not to listen, yet she didn't turn around. She coldly said, sounds like a lie. She leaned over and pointed at me, scolding, you knew she came back last night and intentionally lied about someone kissing you. Are you ashamed, George? Did you do this to make me angry? Did you really think she could like you? If she seems interested, it's just her revenge for being hurt because I took her husband. Do you understand? After finishing, she grabbed her water cup and poured it over my head. She said, you clown. Why are you trying to show off? Are you running around being someone's dog? But it makes sense. It's your usual style. If you didn't act like this, who would like you? I listened calmly as she spoke. The next second, I grabbed the long brochure on the coffee table and tightly rolled it up, whipping it at her incessant mouth. With a crisp slap sound, she was stunned, and a drop of blood quickly appeared at the corner of her mouth. She stared blankly at me and said, how could you? Outside, the host was knocking on the door. She said, Anna, we found something. Panicked, she wiped the blood from her lips and said, wait a moment. Ignoring the pain, she stuffed the stained paper into the trash can. She opened the door. The host was startled and asked her, what happened? She replied, nothing. I just bumped into something. She asked the host what he was holding in his hand. Only then did the host see me inside the room, calmly picking up the brochure and politely placing it back on the coffee table, not wanting to cause unnecessary trouble for the staff. The host stammered. Anna, already irritated from the pain and annoyed, grabbed the paper and looked at it herself. It was an extremely ordinary registration form, very old, just a photocopy. It recorded the monthly rent status of a certain rental apartment. The tenant was my name, 800 yuan. Everyone who paid rent had to confirm with their own handwritten signatures, but that signature, at that moment, separated by a flight distance of more than 10 hours to the red carpet of the film festival. The handwriting on the backdrop was identical to it. Willow. Chapter 11. South City, long and humid summer. During the summer vacation of my second year in college, I met Willow. I was working part-time at a tutoring center downstairs while she was modeling upstairs. We knew each other, but never greeted. After all, how familiar can people be who hadn't been in contact for 3 years? She would come back to school, crossing the entire city, a whole 3.5 hours on the bus. Meanwhile, I had rented a temporary apartment nearby. That hottest night of the summer was a typhoon day. I was the last to lock the door. I saw a group of people laughing and talking as they passed upstairs. Willow stood out even more, standing out conspicuously in the crowd. She never once looked at me when I reached the elevator. They had already left, and it was empty. Actually, a simple greeting would have been nice. After all, we were former classmates. I grabbed my backpack and went downstairs. The night the typhoon came, it wasn't raining. The sky, which should have been like a splash of ink, was dyed an unusually deep pink. Willow was standing there, wearing a fluffy skirt suit and paired with low twin ponytails. She looked very obedient. Her eyes were defenseless under the porch light. Those eyes carried the clarity of a summer night, like a stray little kitten. She pitifully said, Senior, the bus is canceled. That night, I took her back to the single-room apartment I had rented for 800 yuan. The bed was pitifully small. Later, when she stood on the stage of the highest award ceremony, receiving the Best Actress award and being chased by the audience, I was still in that tiny rental apartment eating instant noodles. The only thought flashing through my mind was, 1. Her first time at 19, cramped on my small bed, she truly felt wronged. I didn't understand. Many media descriptions of her were that of a cold goddess, arrogant and unruly. But in my memory, that summer she was always obedient. She was so well behaved, doing all the housework, cooking 3 meals a day, always calling me senior. Only in bed was she incredibly charming, whispering in her throat, George. Crossing boundaries. No matter how I spoke, she didn't listen. Later I realized her talent was entirely in her acting skills, and the modeling agency upstairs where I worked didn't actually exist. 3.5 hours, just to see me. Chapter 12. Anna wasn't angry, but she seemed to have been drained of all emotions, recognizing a fact within seconds. My first love wasn't her. It was a woman who resembled her 7/10, a woman she wanted to take, but couldn't, someone who won an award at 19. Since the day she debuted, Anna had been treated as her substitute. Anna crumpled the paper in her palm, saying nothing more. She coldly said, "What's the big deal? It's something from hundreds of years ago. What does it represent?" She turned to leave without even looking at me, but at the doorway, she suddenly fainted to the ground. As Anna's agent had hoped, she looked terrible in this episode. Everyone thought she was heartbroken and hospitalized for love. It immediately trended on the hot lists. When Anna woke up, she found herself in a hospital room, surrounded by Makoto, her agent, and a few worried-looking staff members. Makoto took her hand gently. "Anna, how are you feeling?" Anna forced a weak smile, but her mind was already plotting her next move. She knew that this fainting spell had bought her some time, but she also knew that the truth was slowly slipping out of her control. Her agent leaned forward. "Anna, the public's reaction is overwhelming. We need to come up with a new plan to turn this situation around." Just then, my phone buzzed with a message from Willow. "George, I saw what happened. Don't let Anna manipulate the situation. I'm on my way back. We'll face this together." Her words gave me the strength I needed. I decided to use this opportunity to expose all of Anna and Makoto's schemes once and for all. I headed to the hospital, determined to confront Anna. When I walked into her room, the atmosphere turned icy. Anna glared at me. "What are you doing here? Haven't you done enough?" I ignored her hostility and said calmly, "Anna, it's time to stop this charade. The truth will come out eventually, and the more you try to hide it, the worse it will be for you." Makoto stood up, trying to intimidate me. "George, you better watch your mouth. You don't want to make things worse for yourself." But I wasn't afraid. I took out a folder filled with evidence I had collected over the past few days. Emails, contracts, and witness statements that proved Anna and Makoto's conspiracy to use the reality show for their own gain. "I have all the proof," I said, waving the folder. "If you don't confess and apologize to the public, I'll release everything." Anna's face turned pale as she realized that her carefully constructed plan was crumbling. Makoto looked equally panicked, but he tried to maintain his composure. As the standoff continued, the media outside the hospital was growing more and more curious. News of the drama on the reality show and Anna's sudden collapse had spread like wildfire, and everyone was waiting for the next big revelation. Little did they know that the biggest bombshell was yet to come, and it would shake the entertainment industry to its core. Chapter 14. Willow snuggled into my arms, and the world around us seemed to fade away. The soft music of the celebration banquet, the chatter of the guests, all became background noise. But just as we were about to share a moment of peace, my phone vibrated in my pocket. Reluctantly, I pulled it out and saw a news notification. The headline read, "Makoto speaks out, shocking revelations about the reality show scandal." I showed the phone to Willow, and her expression turned serious. "We should see what he has to say," she said. We found a quiet corner and clicked on the article. Makoto was quoted as saying, "I admit that Anna and I made some mistakes, but George and Willow are not as innocent as they seem. There's more to this story than meets the eye." He went on to imply that there were hidden agendas behind our reunion and that we had been planning something all along. Willow scoffed. This is just his way of trying to shift the blame and save face. But I knew Makoto wouldn't make such bold statements without some sort of plan. Sure enough, within hours, a series of leaked messages started circulating on social media. The messages were supposedly between me and a mysterious person, discussing how to use the reality show to boost Willow's career and ruin Anna and Makoto's reputation. The public was divided. Some people believed Makoto's claims and started attacking me and Willow online. Others were skeptical, pointing out that the messages could easily be fake. Anna, who had been released on bail, joined the fray. She posted a long, emotional video on her social media, crying as she talked about how betrayed she felt by everyone. "I thought we were all friends, but it turns out I was just a pawn in their game," she sobbed. The situation was spiraling out of control. The production company of the reality show, under pressure from the public and advertisers, announced that they were launching an official investigation into the entire affair. Reporters were camped outside my hotel and Willow's apartment, trying to get a statement from us. Willow and I decided to face the media head on. We held a press conference, and as we walked onto the stage, the room was filled with flashing cameras and shouted questions. Is it true that you planned this whole thing? What's your response to Makoto's allegations? I took a deep breath and began to speak. First of all, I want to make one thing clear. Everything Makoto and Anna have said is a lie. They are the ones who have been manipulating the situation from the beginning. I joined the reality show with one goal in mind, to expose their true nature. And as for my relationship with Willow, it's real, and it has nothing to do with any of their schemes. Willow then stepped forward. I know that many of you have questions, and I'm here to answer them. Yes, I have a past with George, but that was a long time ago. We reconnected during the show, and our feelings for each other grew naturally. We are not the villains in this story. Anna and Makoto are the ones who should be held accountable for their actions. Just as we were finishing our statements, a man in the back of the room stood up and shouted, "But what about the evidence? The messages, the photos?" The room fell silent as all eyes turned to us. I exchanged a glance with Willow, and we both knew that this was going to be a long and difficult battle. But we were determined to clear our names and expose the truth, no matter what it took. Chapter 15. The room was still filled with an expectant hush as the man's question about the evidence hung heavy in the air. Willow squeezed my hand, a silent reassurance, before she stepped forward. Those so-called messages and photos are nothing but fabrications, she began, her voice steady despite the storm raging around us. I know Makoto and Anna are desperate, but falsifying evidence won't change the truth. Just then, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was an anonymous email containing what seemed to be the original, unedited versions of the leaked messages. The timestamps and formatting clearly showed they were fakes. I quickly showed it to Willow, and a glint of hope sparked in her eyes. We decided to share this new, found evidence with the public right then and there. As I projected the emails onto the large screen behind us, the reporters began to murmur among themselves. As you can see, I said, my voice booming through the conference hall, these are the real documents. Makoto and Anna are the ones who have been lying, trying to smear our names to cover up their own misdeeds. But the battle wasn't over yet. Anna and Makoto's team soon released a statement, dismissing our evidence as more of our manipulation. They claimed that we had paid someone to create these counter-fakes. The public was still divided, and the situation was becoming more and more heated. Amidst this chaos, Willow's past began to resurface in the public eye. Tabloids dug up old stories about her difficult childhood, her troubled relationship with her mother, and her years-long contract with Makoto's father. Some used it to paint her as a victim, while others, influenced by Anna and Makoto's smear campaign, twisted her story to make her seem untrustworthy. One evening, as we were trying to unwind in the safety of my hotel room, Willow sat on the edge of the bed, lost in thought. "George," she said softly, "do you think we'll ever be able to clear our names?" I sat down beside her and wrapped my arms around her. "We will," I promised. "We have the truth on our side, and sooner or later, everyone will see it." Just as I finished speaking, there was a knock on the door. It was a detective who informed us that he was investigating the entire reality show debacle and wanted to ask us some questions. He had heard about Willow's past and was interested in how it might be connected to the current situation. Willow took a deep breath and began to recount her story, from her childhood traumas to her forced marriage with Makoto. The detective listened intently, taking notes. "I think I might have found a connection," he said after she finished. "There are rumors that Makoto's father was involved in some illegal business dealings, and I suspect that Willow's contract might be part of a larger, more sinister scheme." This new development added a whole new layer of complexity to the already convoluted situation. We knew that if the detective's suspicions were true, it could not only clear our names, but also expose the dark underbelly of the entertainment industry. But as we delved deeper into the investigation, we realized that we were up against powerful forces who would stop at nothing to keep their secrets buried.